Hello. I am doing a video on the astrology of 2025. Why? If there's a time to maybe consider what astrology has to say, then 2025 should be the year that astrology kind of proves itself. So this is a video to kind of tell you why 2025 is a big deal, astrologically speaking. Some of the energies that are going to be taking place and why it's like a really big deal. So first of all, I need to introduce myself. My name is Sarah Nickerson. I'm a psychic medium intuitive. I didn't know until I was 33 when I took a Saturday afternoon class. After that class, I felt really intensely different, but also incredibly curious about what I had experienced. And it took about a year of investigation, exploration, self-development to get to a point where psychic ability was proven to me, that I was capable of doing it when before I didn't know I could. It proved itself to me that I could do it, that I could train myself to do it, that I could tap into it when I wanted to, and that I think anybody can do this. I believe it's a skill. Like I said, it took me a year to get to a place of feeling like this is real life. But it could have happened sooner. I think part of that had to do with my own ability to accept it as reality. So I'm gonna throw that out there. And so I've been on a journey since 2018 of really understanding like what truth actually feels like, which is what psychic ability, mediumship ability allowed me to really get to know in a way that I had never experienced before. As well as getting to know intuition, something that I was completely disconnected from, and that exploring psychic abilities allowed me to start understanding what intuition was, to start discerning its messages to me, to start learning its language, as well as getting to know what my life purpose really is, what it continues to be. And all of these things wrapped together have created a tremendous sense of inner authority that I'd never experienced before, that I was completely detached from, only held on by a few strings, enough for me to kind of climb those little strings and expand it and grow it. And now I am on a mission to help people gain that inner authority for themselves, to understand what truth is, to be able to gain trust in the self with your intuition, and to understand your purpose, and to be led to live a purposeful life. So these are things that my journey has been about, and astrology has certainly been a part of my curiosity into understanding metaphysical things, and understanding energy in a way of having experiences of my own. Astrology has come along to be something that I was kind of like, it's a divination method. You don't really need divination in order to know psychic or intuitional things. But there was an evolution that has taken place for me where I've started to understand astrology as something that can be a useful tool. It's something that I can share with other people, in which we have the same curiosity in. Unlike psychic or mediumship experiences, A lot of people don't know that's available to them. A lot of people don't have an understanding of that experience. But astrology, like, that is something I can share with other people, a lot more people. And so I found myself really gravitating towards it. But I still feel reserved about it being my truth. One of the reasons I'm really open to it, and it has to do with my own experiences of psychic work, intuition work, and purpose, is understanding things about being a human that I hadn't really been able to explore before I was 33. And now I understand and see it as being a secret of being a human right now. And these secrets that don't have to be a secret, I feel like where it is right now is a secret, but what it used to be was just a part of everyday life. It was a part of existing as a human, of using all of your abilities and all of your skills. Stuff that was taught to you from a young age, that was a part of how you navigated the world, how you found food, how you communicated with people far away. That is something ancient, but human, that we are disconnected from right now. It's not gone now. It's like when I was talking about those little strands that still existed of inner authority. There was enough for me to climb back up and really start exploring it, understanding it, and growing it, and really owning it. And this might be where we're walking into as 2025 is about to happen. I'm recording this on the 29th of December 2024. And actually, astrology, let me just finish this thought up. To me, feels like ancient knowledge of humans being able to utilize their full selves, their full capabilities, internal capabilities of being able to access other dimensions that we are capable of exploring, but not with the physical body so much, but also the physical dimension. Like, there's two parts to being a human. It's the animal self that's physical and uses your hands and your eyes and your sense of smell and sense of taste. But what makes you a higher evolved creature is that ability to have an inner world. And for that inner world to be able to access that which is not physically around you, or seemingly that you can pick up with the information of your physical senses. Okay. I think astrology derives from that time and is a tradition that is continued up to now and taps into things that we as humans have a knowing about. There are times when I've done readings where I've come across entities that felt different than like a human energy. And the term I would use wasn't an angel, wasn't a guide, it was an archetype energy. And once I started really getting to know astrology in the past couple of years, and I hear people use the term archetype, that's when I felt like this is something that's speaking my language in my spiritual experience and wisdom kind of way. And that's why astrology has continued to be like really interesting to me, that really catches my curiosity. There's always something new going on. It's hard to buy into it, but it's also hard to let go, is how I would put it. But I would not say that its truth is as strong as my inner authority pieces. Those are my truth. That is my experience. That is information that I obtained that led me to understanding those elements of psychic ability, intuition, and purpose. And it's through the resonance of other people's teachings that speak to what I had already downloaded, put it into words, in which I can develop that understanding of inner authority that nobody can take away from me, and provides me with my own security and trust in myself and outside of the self. Okay, so there's my preamble. So 2025, it's a big year for astrologers. They're talking a lot about it, and I want to talk about why they're talking a lot about it, and why I think 2025 should be the year that you start paying attention to astrology. Don't buy into it, but when it could be the year that proves you should be paying more attention to it. All right, so 2025. I am going to first start this with, it needs to prove itself to you. Anything with divination, metaphysical, spirituality, it is your filter of truth that discerns it all. Do not accept it because this person has a good vibe. Fuck that. No, you need to take it in and explore it, but don't own it until it proves itself to you. And even then, only 99%. Don't give it all. There is an astrologer by the name of Pam Gregory. I'm going to put links below to the people that I watch for the astrology stuff. And she's one of them. I just started her video about 2025 and her thoughts about it. I could barely get through it because I got so excited that I had to stop it, because she said something to me that just like hit me, and then I was like off in my own brain doing whatever, and then I got sidetracked. 2025, she believes, is really the time when we're going to start questioning, what does it mean to be human? In my preamble, you heard me say how I feel like we are disconnected from basic tools that are a part of our experience of being human beings. I know this because I've experienced the difference before, which was about 30 years, but having lots of hints in the process, but not living in a society that was like, you should explore that. This is how you do it. But then during and after that exploration, and the exploration continues, like it still goes, because there's evolution that needs to take place. Always. So Pam raises the question, what does it mean to be human? And is 2025 going to be the year where that is what comes to the surface? So let's talk about the astrology of 2025. So first I want to start with looking at our Milky Way, no, our solar system. That's it. Man, I have to go back to second or third grade. Like that's when I first remember learning about our solar system. We got the sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, the moon, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. You know what? Oh no. Jupiter's as big as the sun. It really is not. But Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto is not a planet anymore, but it is in my heart. So we've got our inner planets, we've got our outer planets, okay? Now, when we look at astrology, what we're doing is we're looking at a map of how all of these bodies are, how they are positioned around us. So you may have seen what's called a birth chart, which is a circle. And it gets cut up into 12 pieces. Making me hungry. I've been thinking about pie a lot today. So, if we were to look at a chart of today, we would see the sun on there somewhere. Trying to think of where it would be. Probably be around here. Probably be around here somewhere. We would see Mercury somewhere. We would see Venus. We wouldn't see Earth, though. Because you know why? That's where we are looking at the sky from. So we would see all of these celestial bodies somewhere on this graph. Because that's what it's supposed to signify. Where in the sky these things are. And so it's split into 12 sections. Depending on how you do charting, there's like different systems. But for the most part, there's about 30 degrees. Some are exactly 30 degrees when it comes to the separation of these sections. And some are a little bit more, or a little bit less. Probably a little bit less. So when it comes to what's going on next year, what we need to talk about is how long it takes for these outer planets to go around a circle. Now you can imagine these planets, when it comes to revolving around the Earth, like these planets are going to be quicker because they're closer to us. So I think Mercury goes around 2.5 times in 1 year. So Mercury could be in this sign up to 3 times or something like that in 1 year. But these outer planets, they move slower. So the amount of time it takes them to go around completely is going to not happen as often as these planets. Now, I'm calling the moon and the sun a planet. That's the terminology in astrology. Okay, so let's talk about how much time it takes for the outer planets to move around, all the way around this circle. Now remember, each of these segments is supposed to be a zodiac sign. Aries, Pisces. Am I doing that right? No, Pisces is last. Then Aries. Then, wait, am I doing that right? No, it's Aquarius. And then Aries. Oof. The ones I know the best are the summer ones because that's where me and my family usually are. So those are what I'm looking at the most. The late, like early spring, late winter, I'm never looking at those. But anyway, for Jupiter to start here and to go all the way through each of the signs. And then to finally make its way back to where it started, it takes Jupiter 12 years. About 12 years to get from here and all the way back. That's Jupiter, the great benefic. Then we have Saturn. Takes about 29 years for Saturn to move all the way around the circle. Uranus is about 84 years. That's like a lifetime. Neptune's 165 years. There are signs that Neptune will go through that we might not experience in our lifetime. Pluto. There are many signs that we won't ever see Pluto go through in our lifetime. So as you can see, those are some big numbers. That's why they're called generational planets. From 1983 to 1995, pretty sure those are the numbers. Pluto was in Scorpio. So most of the 80s and half of the 90s, the people born at that time will have Pluto in Scorpio. It is something, a decade of children, of people on this, walking around on this planet, that we all share. I'm one of them. I was born in 1985. And that's part of my chart. And it's a part of all the people I grew up with. It's part of their chart. And then even the children who grew up in, who were born in 1995, who I call babies. I guess they're adults too now. That's why it's called generational. It's something many people share. Many people are going to share this in common, more so than Jupiter. But the people that were born in May of 1985, we're all going to have Pluto in Scorpio. We're all going to have Neptune in Aquarius. I can't remember where my Uranus is. Where is that? I want to say that's in Scorpio. I hope so. I'm writing it down like it does. Saturn. What's that one? Can't remember. I want to say it's like my 7th or 8th house. I don't know what that means. This is my 6th, I think. I can't remember. But Jupiter's in Aquarius. I remember that. So for those born in May of 1985, we're all going to share these things. Which house it's going to be, that's going to be different amongst us. But we're all going to know what... Oh, I think I messed that up. I don't think Neptune is in Aquarius. I think it's in Capricorn. It is. because that's something I'm really proud of. That's something I'm really proud of, is that my Neptune, something that's about, getting lost in spirituality, that it is hammered down in practicality of Capricorn. Like, I'm really proud of that. And there are many people that that walk on the earth with me, share that same practicality in religion or spirituality or all the other things that Neptune represent. Okay? All right. That's why it's called generational. Many people share that energy. Okay? But they're also called generational because they move so slow. Why? Why am I talking about it? Well, let me tell you why. For the past year and a half, I want to say, we've been waiting for a change that has finally came. And it's Pluto going into Aquarius. You may have heard about that. So people would call it the age of Aquarius, right? And it's a big deal when it's Pluto, because the thing about Pluto, Pluto stays in a sign for 14 to 31 years. That's like a third of my life. Our lives. We're all sharing that. Interesting thing about the Pluto that I just mentioned with it in Scorpio, apparently that was the fastest time Pluto's gone through a sign. And Pluto in Scorpio, like, that's some intense energy. And that was my 4th house. So if you already know a little something about astrology, maybe that could explain a little bit about me. But it was an intensity for anybody that was born in those years. Because, why is it intense? Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. And so when the ruler is in its sign, that's an intensity of the shared energy that they both have. So it's like doubling their energy. And Scorpio's a deep, intense, dark, messy sign. And then Pluto is a love-hate, because it's destroying things, which can be good, but it can also be bad. And humans that don't like change are really not going to like Pluto. So the generation that has Pluto Scorpio combo in their chart somewhere in a house, there's an intensity to them because of that transit that is captured in their energy of human being. So Pluto takes this long to go through one of those 12 signs. So it has just entered Aquarius. And it's going to be in there until like 2040 something. All right? Neptune takes 14 years to go through a sign. Uranus takes about 7 years. I'm running out of space. I did this backwards. Saturn takes about 2.5 years. Jupiter, the Great Benefic, 1 year in one sign, making it easy for us. Thank you, Jupiter. We just love you, Jupiter. It's making everything big and beautiful and all kinds of great. So as you can see, like, change happens. Like, the amount of times Jupiter, you get to experience Jupiter in, I'll say, my ascendant of Leo. I get to experience that every 7 years. Divide that by, I don't know, 80 something. So I get to experience that quite a few times in my life. Comparatively to Pluto, which I will maybe have 3 or 4 experiences of Pluto in a different energy. And probably one of those times I will be completely oblivious to what's going on. So just to give you an idea of like how often the shifts happen. Jupiter, change in sign, okay. Like, we experience that every year. Saturn, oh, okay. That's like half a presidential term, a little bit more, if you're in the United States. Uranus, that would be like once a decade. Neptune, 15 years, like 14 years. That's like a baby being born and then basically being able to sustain itself, like a child, like a human being being able to be independent. The time Neptune is in one sign and then goes to another. So, the shifts happen, but some of them don't happen often. Now imagine that they all happen at the same time. Pluto in Aquarius. So it's been in Capricorn, the sign before, waffling back and forth for like a year and a half. What am I talking about? This is Capricorn. This is Aquarius. For the past year and a half, Pluto's been going into one sign and then back to the previous sign. And then back into this sign, and then back into Capricorn. It is finally now going back into Aquarius and staying there. So we've had a year and a half to feel out what Pluto in Aquarius is going to feel like. And now we're simmering in the pot because it's where we're at. And that's it. But for a year and a half, it was going back and forth. Okay? Now, in that time, Jupiter's moved. Saturn, maybe not. I haven't done the math with Saturn. But Uranus certainly hasn't. Neptune definitely has not. So here we are. 2025. Pluto, new energy of Aquarius. I think we're 1 degree in. Each of these signs, it's about 30 degrees. Depends on the system. But you're cutting 360 degrees up into 12. So 30 degrees. Okay? So Pluto is at the 1 degree mark. All of these are basically at the end of all the signs that they're in right now and getting ready to move into a new sign. And they're all doing it next year. And this is the big deal. All of these generational planets that affect society are all moving at the same time. While this has already moved, we've got 4 planets that are going to move into a new sign within 4 months. This is a lot of change. And there's a couple of these that astrologers are looking very closely at and making a lot of speculation as to what's going to go down. Because some of this stuff does not look comfortable. From an astrological, archetypal energy deduction. Now, the thing to understand about astrology is nothing is evil or good or bad, dark or light. Everything's on a spectrum. So you have the darkness, but you also have the lightness. And you know what? Everybody can have an opinion on which is which. But either way, there's a spectrum. There's a theme. There's an energy. And it differs. So it's not to say that it's going to be this way or that way. It's all bad or it's all good or whatever. So I think that's an important thing to put in there with astrology. There is no good or bad. So when are these changes happening? So Pluto's already happened, so this is good. But it's only 1 degree into this Aquarian energy, so it's still getting there when it comes to how exactly it's going to play the Aquarius game while retaining its essence and energy. So it's still adapting itself, and by the middle degrees of Aquarius, which apparently is going to happen, where are we? In the 2030s, that's when we're going to get the true understanding of Pluto and Aquarius. So we're not there yet. Okay. So Pluto and Aquarius already happening. Check. We get to simmer in this energy for a little bit until we get a switch up in March, at the end of March. So it's pretty close to April, actually. So we've got about 4 months of getting acclimated to Pluto and Aquarius while it's getting used to what's going on. Meanwhile, there is one planet in retrograde that's kind of difficult for us, and that's Mars. That's our action planet. I didn't want to talk about it. And that's a personal planet. That's something that affects us inside, in us, in our energy. And that's hard. So we're going to have time to deal with that. But this is our time to really get our shit together, because stuff outside of us is really going to be changing soon. So March 30th, we have Neptune going into Aries. And this is an interesting energy that has history to it. I believe this is an energy that we look back on. You know what? I'm not going to say it. But Neptune is about spirituality, illusion, confusion. In Aries, its ruler is Mars. So if you can picture what Mars is supposed to represent, Mars is supposed to be the god of war. It's supposed to be aggression, assertive, action. And so we've got this Neptune energy, which is it's also mystical and heady. But then we have this Aries energy. We're not quite sure how these two energies come together. We're going to learn, and I bet there's a history to it, and I really want to Google it right now, but I probably shouldn't. Neptune. I'm just gonna do this real quick because I just want to. Yeah. Okay. Okay. People are calling it stunning. Okay. And this is what I thought. Okay. there are theories. There are, I don't want to talk about it because there's plenty of people who will tell you what the things are. But this is one that's really an interesting mix of energies. And it's starting around April. Now, once that hits, we're going to be in a time of really maybe getting used to what that is. We're going to be given about 2 months, and then something else is going into Aries. And that is Saturn. Saturn is a difficult planet because it's the rule maker. It's the one that builds boundaries. It's the one that wants you to play the rules. It makes the rules. It wants you to play by the rules. Its purpose is to make sure that things physically manifest on the earth plane, that there's a solid essence to it. Institutions is something I think about with Saturn. Authority is something else I think about with Saturn. But those are kind of Jupiterian as well. But Saturn, I also think of Father Time. Time is an illusion, right? And what did I just say about Neptune? Illusion, delusion. So time is something that is a part of our human being, of understanding our physical world. And I think of that as Saturnian, in that it's building boundary where it almost doesn't make sense that there is boundary, because how do you put a boundary on time passing? And we've figured out ways to do that, right? But when you kind of stop and think about that concept, it is kind of like an interesting concept, isn't it? Okay, so Saturn in Aries, though, this is like hammered down. Saturn is very stern, and Aries can be aggressive, but it can also be assertive. Saturn is a slower, kind of methodical. So whatever happens with Neptune and Aries, like, it seems like Saturn is coming in to kind of maybe get chaos under control. So, but that's 2 months apart. So I am curious about that transpiring. Again, we're talking about society. Generational means people are sharing this energy, so just keep that in mind. And then just as soon as Saturn gets into Aries, suddenly Jupiter goes into Cancer. And that happens on June 9th. Cancer is about nurturing. It's about the subconscious. It's connected with the moon. Mother is another thing to connect there. Maternal, nurturing, caretaker. These are Cancer themes. So is home. Home is Cancer theme. So it's really interesting to have all this Aries stuff going on, and then all of a sudden we're like retracting and like going to a safe space of the self or home, or maybe reverting to subconscious. But Jupiter in there, Jupiter's meant to be a like good luck. It's it expands things. So maybe what happens here creates an expansion of home. Or what home needs, or compassion. Oof. I don't want to get interpretive, but this is really building a very interesting story that if you sit and meditate on it, you might have an idea of what's coming in 2025 and might start initiating something inspirational for you to move towards. Just saying. And then a month later, after Jupiter goes into Cancer, we've got Uranus. Oops. We've got Uranus going into Gemini. Uranus is in Taurus right now. It's been building up a lot of energy. Something we think about with Uranus and Taurus. So Taurus is Earth. It's an Earth sign, but it's also linked to like agriculture and like physical Earth. And then Uranus is linked to sudden things and surprise and even electricity, like quickness, spark or something. And you put these two things together, which is where it is right now at this point in time. And earthquakes is something that like automatically gets your brain like going with Uranus in Taurus. Uranus moving to Gemini. So like I said, Uranus is this energy that's quick. Taurus is not. Taurus is dragging its heels. It is it's molasses is the word I keep using. It's a very New England thing to say, but it's just so slow moving. It's really hard for Uranus to do its Uranus thing. It's really had to adapt its energy, and it's probably really uncomfortable and not at all what Uranus wants. But let me tell you what, we talk about Pluto moving back and forth between signs. Well, that's what Uranus has been doing as well. I'm sorry. I don't think it has been. The reason why I say that is because Uranus is right on the cusp of my houses. And so it kind of goes into one house and then it moves back. And it's right at this point, it's right at my MC, which is the midheaven. And so it's sort of like moving around between this house line and my midheaven, and it's really causing a lot of chaos. But so look at this. From March 30th to July 7th, like it's like 120 days. Look at that. All this change. And this is like societal energy. This is like people are making big moves, and it's all happening very rapidly and quickly. Like I said, a lot of these are going to be going back into their previous sign. So they're all moving forward. And then at some point, a lot of these are going to be moving back. I know Pluto is staying in Aquarius. I'm not sure about all these other ones. But this is the year when just this first half of 2025 is going to create a lot of movement. And this is when we get to observe and watch what happens. And maybe be inspired and take part in stuff that touches or taps into our purpose, into our inspiration. I was looking back to see the last time we had all this movement that happened within a year, because Pluto in Aquarius is already happening, but it just happened in December of 2024. So all this movement is taking place within 8 months of each other. There's just so much change. Pluto is destruction and rebirth. And that planet alone, that's a lot of energy right there. That's a lot of disruption. To also have Uranus in there, which is about like quick changes and surprises. And when you're expecting a surprise, it won't happen because it wants to surprise you. It wants to keep you on your feet. This planet is about freedom, if people aren't experiencing that, then what do? Well, we're going to find out in July, when it moves into a sign where it can actually do its work, where it functions more like itself. This is when we get to see astrology live up to its method, right? This is when we get to see it. This is when we get to see astrologers make predictions, and then we see the predictions happen. If you want a taste of that, go back to the astrology that was going on, I want to say May, June, July, somewhere in there, when people are talking about energies to do with people in charge and losing their authority or other ways of things being lost. I'm saying that carefully because this was around the time of stuff to do with Trump, okay, and when Joe Biden stepped down. These things happened really close to each other, and the astrology that was going on beforehand about what was going to go on this summer, astrologers were already talking about it. They were basically painting the picture, and then stuff happened, and you need to look at that stuff. Okay, that was crazy. Now imagine what's going to come here. So this is our time to see astrology pan out. The last time Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto changed signs within a few months of each other was 1737, and was at the height of the First Great Awakening. A similar shift of planetary movement was found, and I found this little piece of information. A similar shift to this happened. If I could write so you could see, that'd be good. I think I'm spelling that right. I think I spelled that right. Similar shift happened during the Renaissance. Guess who was alive and well during that time? One of the most amazing human beings that's ever existed. That obviously knew stuff, that taps into that very essence of being a human that we are all capable of tapping into. Here we go, wrapping it all back up. What does it mean to be human? I think this year we're going to get a taste of that. And I think the years to come are going to unfold where we really need to explore that. I've been using AI, ChatGPT a lot, and it's really been helping make things easier for me. And there was an email that I had it summarize for me, just so I could copy it and paste it into a notes thing. And then it crossed my mind, like, I could use ChatGPT to send a response. And then I caught myself and I was like, wait a second, no. That is where my time and energy goes, is to reading what this person wrote me, feeling and thinking and mulling my response, allowing my intuition effort and attention towards and for this person and what they wrote. And that's what came up when I was starting to think about doing like a video like this and talking about what it is to be human. What it is to be human. What do I designate for me that ChatGPT could do, but I'm going to do it because it requires a human to do it, right? There are lots of people that could just go, ChatGPT, can you just whip up a response for me? Give them an appointment time. But that's not what I want to choose to do, because my humanity is a part of what makes me different and makes me special. And I teach people to integrate more of their humanity into them because they don't recognize or realize that that's part of their skill set, could be a part of their human experience. So what does it mean to be human? I love that for the theme of 2025. That's been my theme for, how long does Uranus do its thing? Yeah, about 7 years. I've been thinking about that. I've been living it. And it's astonishing to me that we are heading in an era where we can live or have our attention all be in our own individual spaces with our phones. And I have a family where everybody has their own device. Everybody's in their room looking at their device, not talking to each other. And I remember growing up and we'd eat dinner with the TV on. We'd all watch the news during dinner. And to now live an experience where nobody watches the same thing. Everybody's watching their own thing. Nobody has a shared experience here. And to see kind of some recent things unfold, where there are collective experiences happening, where all of our attention becomes these few things that happen outside of us and get our attention, that there's this one thing in particular that's happened that seems to be something we're all agreeing on, despite our different feels about other things, especially, and this is specifically for Americans, something that happened that was a tragedy and that has a complexity to it, but in the end there's some key points that everybody's gone, there's a problem and it needs to be fixed. And I'm not going to speak to it, but yeah, so there it is. If there is any year to like have astrology, prove itself to me, this is the year. And as you move through it, where is being human and that experience, where is it being highlighted here? Pluto and Aquarius. Aquarius is very much about technology, but it's also about the people. So how is there going to be a huge transformation with these two combinations of things? And we can always go, dystopian, and have a spectrum of dystopia there. But what does it look like where progress is being made for humanity? It can look different for different people, but in the end, we need to start thinking about what it is to be human. And I think work is going to be something that we really need to be thinking about when it comes to what it means to be human. Because we've, in America, here I am in America talking about it, we've built being a human, that experience, around work. So if work changes, what does it mean to be human? how should work look? All right. So that is the thing for today. Reach out if you are, I don't know, if you're interested in this kind of video. If you have any suggestions or want to know more. I was thinking about doing a video that kind of looks into these concepts a little bit more and then sort of gets theoretical about sort of my intuitional stuff and maybe your intuitional stuff. What do you think 2025 is going to bring? I'm going to put links down below of my astrology peeps that I have learned the craft from, including Nightlight Astrology, Adam Ellenboss. I think it's the Astrology podcast. This has been a newer one for me, but man, they do an incredible job at being very thorough. They actually put up a 2025 forecast. I was just looking at it. Here it is. 2025 year ahead astrology forecast. I got about 3 minutes in, and that's when I just couldn't take it anymore, and so I started this video. So that is 4.5 hours long, and that's what I'm talking about. These people are incredible. Rick Levine, this dude is not only like a chatterbox astrology guy, he connects with my spirituality too. There's a lot of things he says that makes me go, oh my God, he put that into words. And I've never heard somebody say that before. And I totally connect with that. I totally resonate. It's speaking from my experience and putting it into words like I never could. And Pam Gregory, who we kind of started this whole video talking about with her thoughts about 2025 and what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be human? And I've talked about sort of Pluto and Aquarius and what that could signify in a previous video, and hoping that it's humans understanding their own technology, and that the technology we create around us is emulating the technology we already have, and it's almost like we're doing it because we know it's missing, because we're not tapping into our own. And so I think, what does it mean to be human could very well have to do with us having our toys taken away from us, and then maybe recognizing that this was in us all along. Like, it sounds like I should make a children's book about it, or, like it's some sort of Disney movie and that's the theme. You had it the whole time. It's like the Wizard of Oz. Like that, I can totally see, like, spiritual journey in the Wizard of Oz, like just hidden in there. That's something I've talked about. It's something I believe and understand. It's something I've experienced for myself. So you can check that video out. Check out the links to the astrology people, and let me know your thoughts. I do readings. If you'd like a reading, check out the link below. I was also thinking of putting together a couple of groups that I would do through Zoom. So one of the groups I was thinking about would be to talk about our psychic intuition purpose experiences. I'd love it to be something where I started off with sort of some talking points about sort of the theme of the Zoom call for that day, and then we expand upon it. And so I'm imagining it's sort of a smaller group, but I don't know. The other part of it that I really wanted to incorporate was, this is our commonality, but there's something that each of us is learning or super interested in, and we want to teach it. And so it's sort of an opportunity to not only share our experiences and get to know other people who maybe are psychic or intuitive, but to also get the chance to teach, because that's something, even if I'm a teacher, I still got to be a student in things, and maybe you're going to teach me something I've never come across before, and it's because of you that I would even come across that. So that's one group idea. And then the other group idea was spiritual entrepreneurs getting together as a group. And the reason why I want to put a group together is because I had a friend that I came across that decided to stop her business. So she was a healer, and as she didn't really go deep into it, but it's something I've seen for other spiritual entrepreneurs as well, is this sense of feeling like a fake or a hack, feeling like you don't belong giving these things. And really it's because there hasn't been a trust built into your skills and your ability. It's not a part of your truth. And so it's something I thought about for so long, like how can I help people that have started their business, are moving through it, but are maybe having this amazing like personal crisis of like, I don't feel like I should be selling this, you know? And so I wanted to create a group that, first of all, is a support group, but also a way of building that security of the self. And there's lots of stuff I want to pass along to people because I am solid in this stuff as my truth. And if there's anything I can do to help people be solid with that too, then right there's already a plus. The other thing is helping other entrepreneurs be successful, and us being able to talk about how we are getting successful so that we are capable of building a community and being able to share our successes so others can succeed too. So that's what I want to do for like an entrepreneurial group, spiritual entrepreneurs, however you do that, whatever that looks like. I would love to put a group together. Or for those that are into the metaphysical experiences and maybe want to mentor or want to I don't know what I was doing there. Oh, just be able to talk about your experiences and really like feel like you found your people, because we're all looking for that. I'd love to put something together for that. I think I have to be a little bit more clear about what that one's going to be, and then maybe people will be interested. Oh shoot. Did I just... No. Okay. I'm going to put some links below if you want to email me and tell me you're interested. Maybe I'll do a form or something. And that way I can see how many people will be interested, how I'm going to do that. I think I would have to do like just a payment of some sort so that I can pay for the things that make that run, but I wouldn't go crazy with that. So check that stuff out below. Check out the links. Check out my website, nextgenmedium.com, and just reach out and touch faith. Ending it with Depeche Mode. That's how I do it. All right, have a great 2025. Let's surf it well, educated, somewhat prepared, as prepared as we can be. And I'll talk to you in the new year.